said that you were, how did you put it, a bride?
I came here as a bride.
You came here as a bride. Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there was a woman who knew both families very well, and she insisted that I meet some of the Goldberg boys.
Okay.
There were some that weren't married yet, one of them, and she used to visit my mother, and she would be on the porch when I would come home from work, and she liked my appearance. Something about me attracted her, so she saw to it that we should meet, and it clicked.
And where were you living at the time?
In Cleveland.
In Cleveland?
Yes.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Cleveland.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't there a name?
The school,
Yentl?
the school that is doing so well now, athletically, in
Glenville.
football, Glenville.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
alma mater.
All right.
And so, could either one of you tell us about your wedding? What was that like?
Well, it was a lovely event, and
You have quite a smile on your face there.
the weather was exceptionally good, and this was the end of October, not Halloween, but the 30th of October, and there were many people in both families to invite, and it was held at a synagogue. Now, it was supposed to be held, the event, the marriage plus the reception was supposed to be held at the at the congregation where I grew up and went to Hebrew school and Sunday school, but they were in the process of building a new building, and they couldn't promise that the new building would be ready. So we had to look for another site, which we did, and it worked out well because it turned out that the rabbi that was the head of the first congregation was one of the participants in our wedding ceremony, plus the rabbi from Lorain. So we had 3 or 4 rabbis, I think. Four rabbis that
You were really
participated in
married.
the ceremony.
They're really married.
Yes.
And in fact, they just celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's really something.
Nice.
So it was, many people were there, and it wasn't a reception or dinner held on today's system, but it was very nice. And of course, I wore a white dress, and I am proud to say that and I always get sentimental about this, I have cousins that survived Auschwitz, my generation, and one of the girls, who was very close to my age, wanted to wear my wedding gown, and I was so thrilled and so honored that she wanted to wear my wedding gown, which she did, and of course we have pictures, So
It's a great memory. Huh?
yes, it is. It really is.
And how many children were in your family?
There were 2 boys and 2 girls, and I was the first. I was the eldest daughter, and I have a brother that's 1 year older than me, and unfortunately, I have a sister that would be living. She's younger, and also a younger brother. But we were a close family, and my father was always in business. He was in the restaurant business, a very plain type of restaurant held in the market area of Woodland Avenue, what was then market area. People had fruit stands, and they had small stores, and it was a way of earning a living, which my father did.
See, I had 4 brothers and a sister, and I was the youngest. 2 of my other brothers were in the service. And 2 of them, one of them didn't pass the physical, and the other one was working for the government. Here, as an officer out here, about 7, 8 years ago, my brother said he had a present for me. My older brother was very methodical and saved papers and letters and so forth. And he says, here's the will that you sent me in 1945.
Oh, wow.
Of course, it was on mimeograph paper, and it was starting to crumble. Of course, I made a few wills after that. But anyhow, before we left Fort Lewis to go to the Pacific, they called us all in the room, auditorium, and the chaplain spoke to us and said, you have to have a will. Even if you don't have anything, you should have a will. So I made the will, left everything to my mother and father. Didn't have anything, but I left it to them. And I sent it to my brother. I sent it to him because if I sent the will to my parents, that would make them more worried.
Yeah.
So he kept it all these years, you know. He gave it to me. But also he had a book of what they called at the time ration points to buy things in the store that were delivered during the World War II, you know, thing. But anyhow, it's
Could you help me understand, and I apologize if I missed hearing it. Did the synagogue that you grew up in, was that the synagogue you participated in as when you were married and as an adult and with your family, or was that a different synagogue?
well, when we got married.
ABI was in existence.
Oh yes,
Yes.
we were members of the synagogue on 9th Street. Yeah.
Ninth and Reed.
ABI congregation. That was the congregation was built in 30. The new building there was built in 1932, is it? Or 33? I don't exactly remember. The
It
new
was-
building when they merged.
It was built in, it's hard to tell, sometime a few years after 1925.
So you're very close. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the time that the three congregations in existence, and maybe four, came together as Agudath B'nai Israel and became
I
a
think
conservative
we have the dedication
kind of.
book over here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's on the table or on the chair there. There's several books.
Over here.
I think it was a little.
I know what it.
I think it was a little later.
A little later, maybe. Were you involved in?
Not at that time. No, I was never involved with that.
Okay.
I was involved when they built the new building at Meister and Polab.
Okay.
Night.
But actually, Hi, you were involved on the 9th Street building because
No.
you were an usher.
No, that was
Remember,
later
you were
on.
an usher for
That
holidays.
was for services and so forth later, later on.
The silver anniversary of the congregation on 9th Street was held in 1954. So it was 25 years earlier that it opened.
So it was probably 29 or 30.
Yeah.